Hey guys, this is Big Al from Big Al's Big Nerd Show. Today we're going to talk about Warhammer Total War. That's Warhammer Total War, not Total Warhammer. It's a shame, but there you go. Third game is coming out tomorrow, and you bet your butt I'm going to play it after work. But first, I want to say kind of a farewell to the first two games, and going to cover some really awkward stuff. So if you don't want to hear awkward stuff, now's the time to leave. So if you're not a long-time fan of the game, there are some things on the surface that make it look just a tad racist. Like, it's full of caricatures, it's full of weaponized stereotypes. You got the American slavers, you got the lizard people with parody names, you got a lot of stuff, and that's not including the stuff that wasn't included in the video games, like pygmies and Araby and a lot of other racist races. But honestly, to me, the main thing that make it look weirdly racist is the chaos and corruption system. So in Warhammer, purity keeps people safe. If they're not pure, their community suffers. The more diversity they have, the worse it gets. Your military suffers, you get civilian unrest. Apparently in the new game, it's going to affect a lot of things like growth or different other things depending on the type of corruption you got. So in short, everyone different from you is bad.
Greetings to
being
you,
near them is
eternal
bad.
agent of change.
Spread their corruption
You are
everywhere.
reborn from chaos once
Unless
again,
they're short,
that
but that's
you
a
may
different
hasten the
story
mutation
entirely.
of this
Anyway,
world and bring ruin to its
so
people.
now some of you are like,
Man has
you're
ever
wrong,
been the
Al.
true enemy of the beast
And
named
I'm going
Murder,
to talk
none
about
more
how I
so than the
suck,
hated empire.
and when the day of the rope
Descend
comes
upon
along, you
their
know where I'll be
lands
hanging. In
and
which
bring
case,
down
have a
a
good
fury
day.
that will
Let the
shake
door
the
hit you on the way out.
foundations of the earth.
Screw you guys.
Yet there are
Now,
others who would
some of the
oppose
others
you.
might be like,
The
hey,
Woodlands,
thanks, Al.
hidden
I will
behind
avoid
their
that game.
sanctuary
It
trees,
sounds really
have
racist,
long
but that's
stood
not
in
really fair.
opposition
You
to
see,
your goals.
the surface isn't
Twist
everything,
their
and
gnarled
once you dig in,
roots
you realize
into a noble
Warhammer is a really
Let them know
British
defeat.
game.
To the north,
It's basically a
more men
parody
stand
of
against
British
it.
society,
They
and
who call
kind of how they see the
themselves
world.
Bretonians
One
should
of my
be
favorite
utterly
examples of this
crushed.
is
Their
orcs. They
glittering
are designed
spires
as
and
football
dreams of
hooligans,
chivalry
well, soccer
brought to
hooligans for
naught but
us,
rubble.
Americans. And they
You
speak
are
English like,
Morgur,
I don't know
the
what you call it,
Shadow
lower class
King, the
Brits.
master of skulls.
Everything is in a
Your
thick
time is
accent.
now.
It's very
Visit
silly.
upon
It's
this
hilarious. I
world
don't know what
such
you call it because
horrors
I'm not
that
British.
generations yet
And a lot of the
unborn
other
will
factions
scream
are
in
kind of
torment.
self-parodies. They're hilarious when you look at them. In Warhammer, England is a barbarian land on the remote edge of nowhere. They're not the heroes. They are just an unimportant faction. They are one more joke in a game full of jokes. Warhammer isn't white supremacist. It's just local. They made it for them. They weren't thinking, hey, we got to make sure that this fits with every culture that we run across. They made it for themselves. And honestly, when you look at it under that lens, it is kind of hilarious. And so yeah, it's more of a look at how trash my neighbors are and how trash I am game. And honestly, I love that kind of game. So on the other hand, though, if you don't dig down, yeah, it looks pretty bad. But like I said, everything's played for laughs, and you can choose to play any race in the game. While, some of them are canonically evil or canonically good or whatnot, you can still play them. That's half the fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. And even the quote-unquote good factions, they are not great. You have your basically fantasy Germany, well, fantasy Holy Roman Empire, and they are a mess of bureaucracy. They try to be the good guys, and a lot of the time they suck at it. They also have their secret police inquisitors that can kill a person without a good reason and basically say, it's an imperial secret, you don't have to know. And then there's the equivalent of France, who is feudalism dialed up to 11. Insert Spinal Tap joke here. Not that any of you guys are old enough to
We
get
can
that
achieve
one.
much together.
With them, peasants are basically a resource, kind of like livestock or buildings in the game. And yeah, lives of peasants aren't worth much as long as you don't screw up the
This
peasant economy.
world needs
Um,
me.
Whereas, nobles are basically awesome as that faction. And so it does its best to make you
Serve
like,
the Shadow King.
think like that. And it's really a horrible thing. So
Our
it's not
future
really a
depends upon
not really a good faction. It's just
I was
An
born
inhumane
for glory.
faction. There we go. And so yeah, you can see that this game is problematic. It's got some stuff that's not appropriate. But you know what? I'm a huge fan of Die Hard. I'm a huge fan of D&D, except for the movie that was crap. But like, I'm a big fan of a lot of things that are problematic. And them being problematic doesn't mean, hey, you can't enjoy this. But you should probably be aware that it's problematic. One of the things, for instance, that I didn't even realize until I was looking for the third game, there are no non-white characters in this game. I mean, if you will look at all of the portraits of all of the humans, and the elves, and the dwarves, and everybody else, I mean, I guess you could argue that Grimgor's black, because he's a black orc, but A, he's not much darker skinned than the other orcs, and B, the orcs are like the soccer hooligans, and I don't know much about British culture, but like, that's already their thing, so, you know, it's kind of hard to say. Oh yeah, also, here's one of the soccer hooligans who happens to be black. Also, you know, they got a major thing for psychedelic mushrooms. The orcs do, that is. Yeah, anyway. And, you know, a couple of the people, like, maybe the Beastmen, but they're not, like, culturally there at all. They're just, like, when it comes down to it, all the Games Workshop is just like, people with darker colored skin that are human? No, that would be boring or something. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, the lizard people are basically a Hispanic Aztec mix. You got them going, "Hola, skinks!" and they're great. But half of them are named after jokes. You got 10 and 1, you got Tic Tac Toe, you got Lord Croak, you got Itsy Bitsy. The list goes on. And props to Creative Assembly for actually trying to make some of them not sound like joke names, because it sounds like when I was a kid there was a healthy number of, oh yeah, this is a you know, fake, offensive Chinese, Japanese, whatever name. You just make up noises and be like, yeah, that's totally them. And that's how the lizard people feel. I do have to give them some props for naming one of the dinosaur mounts for one of the characters, Grimlock. That is a amazing nod to Transformers. You see, those kind of nods are great, but just like Itsy Bitsy, really?
The sanctity
So,
of life. The
yeah.
thrill of bloodshed.
And listening to this, the people who haven't left planning for what will happen to me on the day of the rope are probably thinking, okay, well, what's the point of this rant? This is an old racist game being spoken about by an old racist white guy. But here's the deal. I love this fantasy world. Warhammer is great, especially in its silliness. You know, you got dwarves who keep grudges for hundreds of years, and 200 years later, they sack a human castle, and the humans are like, what's going on? And the dwarves are like, he shorted me $5. Well, his great-great-great-grandfather shorted me $5. There's so much great humor in it, and it just, there is so much more potential, and part of it is, like, when you love something, you want to see it expand. And the problem is, Warhammer is rapidly saturating its current environment. Just like it, and I want to emphasize here, there ain't nothing wrong with him. There is nothing wrong with Tyler Perry. I know some people who love every single movie he's made. But if you're not black and not Christian, you may have only heard of his name and never seen a single one of his movies. And that's okay. That he has an audience that he makes that for, and I get that if he changes his audience. Like, if he makes something that has too wide of appeal, I could see his core audience going, the man really must be like. But Warhammer doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be something where if you add something cool, the core audience runs off, because the core audience will usually be like, oh, okay, well, that's also cool and completely insane, and now they've got dwarf blimps, what the heck. And some people hate change. That's just the way the world works. Anyway, Creative Assembly has already gone off the rails a little bit for things that were never, ever originally in Warhammer. So if they wanted to, they could make other stuff. I'm not saying they have to do this, because I'm just, one guy with a YouTube channel with not many subscribers. But just saying, to put this out there, yeah, they could throw in a black person. They could throw in somebody who is, brown, or just not, hey, I am a shiny white person. Like, it was almost edgy when they threw in a elf who had black hair, not blonde hair. It's like, come on, guys. There are a ton of badass characters in the series, and they're all over the top. It would be really easy to throw in, the black action hero and just have him be over the top and ridiculous. You could say, oh, he's from Araby or the Deadlands or who knows where, and just wandered into the area and became an awesome general. That's half the plots of half the factions, really. And I can already hear some of those people who are supposed to leave the video early say, why do we need a black character? Why do we need a character who isn't white? That's not true to lore. Like I said, first of all, Creative Assembly has taken liberties, and I love it. I love the stuff they did. I love the mammoths. Okay, so it's a big old pain to play the mammoths, but you know what? Fine. I just love the fact that you can have mammoths and all sorts of other crazy things. I mean, mammoths versus dinosaurs. This is like 8-year-old me's dream come true. And I want this for everybody. One of my kiddos, my youngest, Vivi, she takes after her mom a lot more than me. She ain't white. So when she's older, I would love to play this game with her, but representation matters. If she sees a character in this game, if she sees, what is it, like 40 characters in this game right now? Ain't none of them look remotely like her? She's going to be less likely to play this. I want these games to spread far and wide. I want everybody to be able to have fun with them. But you know what? If a black nerd comes up and he's like, oh, hey, that game looks interesting, and he looks up and he finds the Pygmies characters, he's gonna be like, oh, hell no, and go to something else. So, you know what? That's my thing, is I just want to broaden the appeal. And it ain't gonna take away any of the rest of the appeal. If you have, one black character, it's not gonna ruin all of the other previous characters, because all of the characters are ridiculous. All the characters are overblown. All the characters are a little bit silly, and I love that part of it. So yeah, the other thing is, the more representation you can get, the bigger it will get. And that means that bigger chances that other great companies will get to work with the IP. I really love what Creative Assembly has done. I really love this game series. And for the next one, I'd like to get something, more like Warhammer Total War, and not something more like some of the other Warhammer stuff, especially the 40K stuff, which is a whole different ball of wax. I do not want the next big game to come out being Warhammer 40K, the Commissar Did Nothing Wrong Rail Shooter Edition. So, I'm not saying, hey, you have to change to make some other people happy, and it'll actually make you miserable. I'm saying, hey, let's try new stuff. Let's have some fun. Because in the end, this is all about having fun. Damn it. Hey guys, take care of yourselves. Stay sane out there. It's wild.